Paz de Cristo. Y permítame comenzar con diciendo, Dios es bueno. I just want to invite you guys to stand up and start lifting your hands up to heaven. And let us surrender to God, because God is good. Los quiero invitar que se pongan de pie y comienzan a levantar sus manos y que lo rendimos hoy al Señor, porque el Señor trae algo especial para cada uno de nosotros. God has something really good for every single one of us. Something prepared for every single one of us. A blessing specifically for every single one of us. For God is good. Amen. He's the same God of yesterday, today, and tomorrow. He does not change. That's word of God. That's a promise. You see, our times might change, but God will never change. We might change, but God will never change. That's the God that I serve, and that's the God that we worship today. You know, it's been a beautiful weekend. It's Father's Day. And it's been good this whole weekend, since Friday. My son was talking to me and he told me, so Dad, I want to take you to eat steak and lobster. And just say, hey, man, I love that idea. That was Friday. And yesterday I went with my dad. And we had a little barbecue. And we started with hamburgers. I went light and I just got a little 4x4. I don't want to go too crazy. And then today it was just beautiful. My wife surprised me with a couple of presents, my son and my wife. And it was just a beautiful thing. But overall, the blessing of God was there. It's because God is there. That's the reason that everything is good. But I hear that, amen? Amen. And so let us worship, let us devote this moment, this time to God, and let us exalt Jesus. And let us start with a little bit of prayer. Let us talk to God for a moment and say, Jesus, you are awesome and you are good. I've been waiting for this specific day, Sunday, to come to the house of God, Beth-El, and just give myself, my heart to you, because I need of you, God. You see, the world's talking of so many things going on about the COVID, about the rise that's going on. But within this depression, this madness that the world's going on, I know that I have you. I know that I have you, God, in my side. And then even if the whole world goes against me, it's okay, because I got you, Jesus. And so today, Father God, I give my heart to you, my whole mind, Father. I open my heart to you. Let you come and walk inside and let me dine with you today. I pray, Father God, that you will bring liberty to this church and let us worship you, Father God, not in vain, but in truth. I pray, Father God, that you will just break the chains of every single one of us and just bring a specific blessing in every single one of us. Because every single one of us need of you, Father. So I pray, Father God, that you bring that blessing to every single one of us. And the church says, amen. In Jesus' name. So let us worship God. Let us sing songs to the Lord. Hallelujah.
You
beautiful afternoon. His name is Moisés. Siento que hoy es el Día de los Papás, tenemos un programa muy bonito y en este momento quisiera invitar a el presidente de los jóvenes porque trae una palabra para el día, en este día. Pueden estar sentados.
Praise the Lord, everybody. Amen. I would like to congratulate to all the fathers. Happy Father's Day for you. And me and my youth had made a special song for you guys. And the special lesson for you guys is your job for our father is to teach your child the ways of God. And that's what my dad taught me. He taught me everything, like being a good Christian. He told me that I should become playing guitar, serving God. And that's what all of us should do to make our fathers, our parents proud. And with this, that's a song for you guys.
Cute. Eso fue una alabanza muy bonita de parte de los jóvenes. Hay un salmo. There's a song that I love. It should be common. You should know it. Es un salmo muy común. Ustedes lo deben de conocer, pero si gustan a buscarlo, es Salmo 150. Es Psalm 150. I'm just going to read the first verse and the last one. Y nomás voy a leer el primer verso y el último. It says, Psalms 150, this is verse number 1. Praise the Lord. Praise God in His sanctuary. Praise Him in the mighty heavens. And then in number 6 it says, let everything that has breath praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. Isn't that awesome? Isn't that beautiful? How the Word of God tells us to worship God. You see, we were made with a formula. And within that formula, God is within us. Right? If God is not in us, we're not complete. Salmo 150 dice en el primer verso: alabad a Dios en su santuario, alabable en la magnificencia de su firmamento. Después dice en verso 6: todo lo que respira, alaba a Jehová. Aleluya. Bonitos salmos, un canto que fue inspirado del Espíritu Santo cuando David lo escribió. But I want to invite you to stand up and let us praise God all together as a church. Los quiero invitar a que todos pongamos de pie y alabar al Señor, junto como iglesia. Come on, church. I know that I'm not by myself in this building. Hermano, yo sé que no estoy solo en esto. Vamos a alabar al Señor.
Maravilloso Jesús, mira
thank you, Father God, for this blessing, for being able to sing songs to you, to being able to worship you, to feel the divine spirit, your Holy Spirit inside of us, Father. That was awesome. I exalt your name every single day, Father God. I see a bright light. I know there's days and moments that seems to be so dark, but I know that as long as I have the Word of God, as long as I have your voice, tell me what to do, Father God, in those dark moments. I know that, come out of all that. Jesus, so thank you for being so good. Thank you for this beautiful day. And I know that you're going to speak an awesome word in this beautiful afternoon. Señor, te damos gracias por este momento, por de poder alabarte, de poder exaltarte, Padre. Sé que hoy, en este día, en esta tarde, usted trae una palabra preparada para mí. He necesitado de ese consejo y vengo a usted. Señor, a usted glorifico y a usted busco hoy en este domingo. Señor, te exalto para siempre. En el nombre de Jesús. Amén. Our pastor with us, Pastor Angulo, pues el pastor con nosotros, Pastor Angulo.
Hermanos, Padre Cristo, me alegro mucho en poder estar esta tarde con ustedes y adorar al Señor nuestro Dios. Hemos dicho que una expresión que antes quizás no teníamos es la de dar gracias al Señor por el día de vida que nos presta. En medio de una situación como la que hoy estamos viviendo, no de manera particular solo nosotros, sino el mundo entero, decir gracias, Señor, por el día de vida, pues debería de ser algo muy común. La verdad no estamos habituados a ello. Pero doy gracias a Dios y me alegro de poder estar con ustedes. Hemos ya celebrado el primer culto a las 11 de la mañana, lo iniciamos, y tuvimos un hermoso culto en el que la presencia de Dios ha estado presente, al igual que en esta hora. Así que bendigo al Señor, en verdad, me alegro mucho. Pero tenemos este culto, es un culto bilingüe, aunque yo lo que hablo es español. Pero doy gracias a Dios por mis colaboradores, mis compañeros, que ellos tienen la capacidad de poder hablar los dos idiomas con fluidez, de una manera fácil. Hoy he invitado para que nos acompañe en este culto uno de los miembros de mi familia, y yerno, es como decimos en español, me gusta más como dicen en inglés, mi son-in-law, ¿verdad? Le decimos nuestro hijo según la ley. Suena más cercano todavía. Él es el pastor de los aspectos administrativos de la iglesia en la que él está sirviendo, y a la que se reúne junto con su familia. Y lo he invitado para que nos comparta la palabra en esta tarde. Él lo hará totalmente en inglés. Entiendo que los que están aquí, la gran mayoría, con la excepción de mí, todos entienden bien inglés y también, gracias a Dios, se entiende el español. Así que voy a dejarlo para que él nos hable en inglés, y los que estamos aquí, o los que están como yo, pues empiecen a cachar, ¿verdad?, algunas cosas que nuestro hermano nos hable en el idioma en el que mejor se expresa. El doctor Roger Tran con nosotros.
Good afternoon, church. Thank you for being here. Why don't we pray and get started, and then you have our seats. Lord, thank you so much for this afternoon that you have made for us, Lord. Thank you for allowing us to be here in this new house, Lord. Lord, I just ask that we have this time with each other that will be filled with wisdom. I hope that my brothers and sisters who come here to be close to you, Lord, that you will touch them, Lord, that you will heal them, that you'll just continue to be with them. I know that you hear their prayers, Lord, and I know that you will provide for them, and I know that you will just be with them. I thank you so much for this time. And I pray this in your name, Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
You may be seated. And first of all, thank you so much to Pastor Angulo for inviting me and my family here this afternoon to share the word with you with Beth-El Church. You know, as Pastor Angulo said, I serve as the executive pastor for Faro Church. Faro Church is in Lake Forest, so as the executive pastor, I deal with a lot of like the business side of church, the structural organizations, staff developments, contracts, salaries. So I do a lot with the numbers are part of it. And once in a while, they'll let me, get in front of the church to share the devotional or like lead a Bible study. So whenever I get a chance to do that, I'm really, really excited and I'm really happy to be here this afternoon. I think this is your second week? The second week that we gather, and what an honor it is for me to have an opportunity to be here and to be able to speak to you, and then it being Father's Day. Just thank you so much for making the time to come to church on Father's Day. Statistically speaking, they say Father's Day is probably one of the lower attendance holiday. So therefore, all you fathers, thank you. Thank you so much for coming to this service today. But so let me just start by saying that, it's a Father's Day. I'm sure probably if you have figured out how did it come to be, or who started it, or why do we have a Father's Day? We all know we have a Mother's Day, as last month we celebrated Mother's Day. And so today we celebrate Father's Day. And Father's Day, let me just give you a little bit of a snippet of a background. Father's Day started in the 1900s, 1906. There was a young lady. Her name is Sonora Dodd. So she lived in Washington State. She was the eldest of 6 children. Her mother passed away, giving birth to the 6th child. And so then that left her father. His name is William Smart. And he was left then to be a single parent because his wife passed away. So he basically raised up 5 kids and a newborn. And so looking back, she saw his sacrifices that he did for them and everything that he had to do in the early 1900s to raise up 6 kids. So she began to promote that in her local county that we should recognize our father. And it took from pretty much 1906 there all the way up, actually in 1912, President then Calvin Coolidge recognized it as a day that we should celebrate. But it wasn't until all the way to 1972 when President Nixon was the one that actually signed it into law as the 3rd Sunday of June to be Father's Day. And June because Mr. Smart, Sonora Dodd's father, his birthday was in June. So that's why we celebrate Father's Day on the 3rd Sunday of June to recognize, a father. And I'm very thankful that I can still say thank you to our parents, they are not of our choosing. Whether they are our biological parents, our adopted parents, they're not of our choosing. It's God's work that our parents are our parents, whether they are biological or not. And so, God in His sovereignty has everything already planned, and they've designated the people to be our parents. And I want to take a look at a story today in the Bible that in His sovereignty He chose Joseph to be the adopted father of Jesus. He chose Mary and Joseph to be the parents for His son. So I want to take a look at that and how what God saw in Joseph, the traits that He had in Joseph, that He felt to lead his son. And so we'll take a look at that. And but let me just take a minute here to open up this parentheses a little bit here, because in that story there of Joseph and Mary, we know that our Lord raised up with both a father and a mother. But if Joseph had decided not to go through and had divorced Mary, that would have left Mary to be a single mom. And in our time now, there are a lot of that situation where there are single parents, single mom, single dad. And as we learn this from the story of why Father's Day came to be, this gentleman, Mr. Smart, was indeed a single parent because his wife had passed away. So with that said, I want to communicate all of our single parents. I've seen so many single parents doing a great job. Single moms, single dads there. That I want to encourage you that as a single parent, just realize that the Lord, that we serve is an exceptional Lord. It doesn't mean that if you're a single mom that you're not going to be able to play the father role. Our Lord is great. He can do anything, and if He wants you to serve as both the mom and dad role, He will make it happen. And we've seen so many children that have grown out of that family have been successful because they've been nurtured in the Lord. So I just want to make sure that this story here about Father's Day does not necessarily just exclude out single moms or single parents. And I want to just open up that parenthesis so that it's applicable. And as I look around, I see a lot of our young men. If you're not a father yet, this is also applicable to you, because a father is more than just a male parent. A man, a male does not necessarily make you a man, and a man does not necessarily make you a father. So as you learn from this story here, I hope that it will make an impression on you to be the type of father that Joseph was to Jesus. He knew that Jesus wasn't from his creation, but yet he accepted a role of being the adopted father. And I think that as young men, as you go forward to be fathers, we really need to take a look at that, and we need to look at the example that He set out for us. So, as I said, God in His sovereignty elected to have Joseph as his son's father. And I'm sure God knew that the absence of a father is crucial. And the presence of a father in the home is very, very crucial. If you can go on to the next slide there. We are currently in a situation, we are living in a society where there really is a crisis in America on the absence of fatherhood, the presence of a father in the home. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, that 1 in 4 live without a father's presence in the U.S. And that is a huge number, 1 in 4. And as we can see, there's a slide, I'm not sure if you have it, there's a slide there. It just tells you all of the next slide, please. One more. There you go. It just tells you all of these increased risks that a lack of a father presence can do to a home, to a child. And I'll just go through some of this here quickly here. There is a absence of fathers, a 4 times greater risk of poverty. There's a 7 times more likelihood of teenage pregnancy. There's more likelihood of behavioral problems. There's more likelihood to face abuse and neglect. There's 2 times more risk of infant mortality. There's increased risk of drugs and alcohol abuse. More likelihood of being incarcerated, going to jail. There's health risks of obesity. There's crimes. And 2 times more likelihood of a child dropping out of high school. So these statistics are pretty much all of the current problems that we have in America. As you can see, all of the social problems there come out of that. So the role of a father in a home is essential. But I think that even more important for us is to look at, of these things here, is that there are numerous studies within the Christian literature that shows that in families where only the mom goes to church, that number of a child becoming a believer is only 1 in 50. 1 in 50 kids will become a regular worshiper, a believer, will continue if only the mom goes to church. That's a scary number. On the other hand, if you have the father only, if it's only the father in the family, mom and dad, only the father goes to church, we find that there's a 66% that the children will become believer. So you can see the numbers have changed a little bit here. And then as you might guess it, both mom and dad attend church regularly, 75% of the kids will become believer. I'm hoping that to be higher. That should be like 100%, right? Right, Isaac? That should be like 100%. So it's important. It's important that the role of the father in a spiritual leadership in the home is really important. That's why a godly father, its influences will have lasting effects, not just in his immediate thing, but in his children and in their children's generations to come. And I think it's important for us to remember that as fathers or future fathers. It's important for us to keep that in mind. So the verses that I'm going to be focusing on this afternoon are actually 2 verses. Is the story of Joseph and Mary and the birth of Jesus in Matthew 1, 18 through 25. I think I have that verse on the first slide, so if you can go back, great. I think I have it both in English and Spanish there, but I believe that's the English there. And so we can read it a little bit here. Let me just see here. So, in I have the phone. So you can follow me there. You can follow it on the Spanish. I put it on there, and it's there for you. But let me just read to you. I want to read it because I think it's important for us to read the full text here. And so, the conception of birth of Jesus. Verse 18 says, "Now the birth of Jesus Christ was as follows. When his mother Mary had been betrothed to Joseph, before they came together, she was found to be with child by the Holy Spirit. And Joseph, her husband, being a righteous man and not wanting to disgrace her, planned to send her away secretly. But when he had considered this, behold, an angel of the Lord appeared to him in a dream, saying, 'Joseph, son of David, do not be afraid to take Mary as your wife, for the child who has been conceived in her is of the Holy Spirit. She will bear a son, and you shall call his name Jesus, for he will save his people from their sins.' Now all of this took place to fulfill what was spoken by the Lord through the prophet. 'Behold, the virgin shall be with child, and shall bear a son, and they shall call his name Emmanuel, which translated means God with us. And Joseph awoke from his sleep and did as the angel of the Lord commanded him, and took Mary as his wife, but kept her a virgin until she gave birth to a son, and he called his name Jesus." Amen. And so the second verse that I really want us to focus on, we were talking about, is out of Thessalonians. First Thessalonians 2:11. It says, "Just as you know how we were exhorting and encouraging and imploring each one of you as a father would his own children." So these are the two verses that I really want us to focus on. The story of the birth of Jesus and the verse there in First Thessalonians. And so, what do we learn, or what do we know about Joseph that are some traits of his being the adopted father, of his fatherhood, that we can really learn and apply from the story that we just read? And I think I want to point out to you, the first thing is that, as we see, Joseph is a loving man. Verse 18 and 19 talks about how, he was betrothed, means he was engaged. He was more than just, he was committed. He was in a binding contract. And it's not just him and Mary. It was both their families are in a binding contract to, that they would marry each other. And so when he found this out, I'm sure, you all would just be, what a thought process-wise in his brain, just kind of like the anger, the frustrations, just the confusion that he must have had, that when he found out that she is with child. And I think that it's really important for us to kind of like see his reaction. Nowhere did it say that he was so upset. He didn't throw anything. He didn't kick anything. He wasn't, he wasn't violent. He wasn't, it didn't say any of that stuff. And it shows what kind of man Joseph was. He was a loving man. He was a thoughtful man. He was a man who is grounded in the Word. He knows the Bible. He knows of the prophecy. And I think that's really important for us to understand that it says that he was a good man who did not want to disgrace her. according to the Jewish traditions, is that, an adulterous woman, it gives the man the right to divorce him, and it's made public. Right? This is a public punishment. But Joseph did not do that, and he chose to honor her and be with her. And it shows to his character as a loving man. As men, sometimes we need to be reminded of that. The Bible says that our wives, they chose to leave their home, they chose to leave their family, and then they go, and they start the family with you. They take your last name. They accept you for all of our mistakes and our shortcomings. So Joseph demonstrated that he understood that. He understood that Mary was willing to do that for him, and he showed her the love there. That he was a righteous man, and he basically showed his love for his wife Mary. And I think that's really important, because it goes for us as men to love our wives. We are called to love our wife, and it's very important. The early 1900 clergyman, Theodore Hesper, he says, the most important thing that a father can do for his children is to love their mother. It's the most important thing that the father can do, is to love their mother. And I think that we see that here, that Joseph understood that, and Joseph demonstrated that he knew that it was going to be, and I'm sure Jesus would have been fine if Joseph decided to not to go through this, but because he was grounded in the Word, and that's why he decided to do that. And his presence provided Jesus as a newborn with dignity, right? And he knew that was the thing to do was to love their mother, to love his mother. So the most important thing a father can do, right, for his children is to love their mother. So first is to be a loving man. Second thing about Joseph that I want to point out is that he was a caring father, right? His decision to not publicly disgrace Mary, and to receive Jesus as one of his own child, it just shows his character as a man and as a father. Right? He, like I said, he gave Jesus' birth dignity. But at the same time, we know that he, as a father, wanted to establish a caring relationship with Jesus. Now, a relationship is something that, just as you are a father, you have a relationship with your father, with your son, because, you're involved in that process. But a relationship is more than that, more than just giving birth to your children. And as we find here that Joseph was not the biological father, but he had a relationship with Jesus. And we find this throughout the Bible as that many times Jesus is referred to as Joseph's son, or he's the carpenter's son, and Joseph as a carpenter. So that denotes relationship that Joseph had with Jesus. And relationship is more than just the birth, influence. Relationship speaks to you about loving, and it also speaks to you about the time. If we want to have a relationship with our sons, our children, we need to demonstrate both of those factors in the equation. Right? In order to have a relationship with your son, or I should say, an influential relationship with your son, you really need to have those two things there. You need to demonstrate love, right? And then you need to invest in time to establish that relationship, and that requires you to, as I said, this my son's going out, so to have time with them when they're young, and you want to invest time with them. You want to see what their interests are. You want to know what they like to do, and you need to be able to communicate with them. Those are the things that will help to build a relationship, and also help to deepen and strengthen the relationship, so that because the goal is then to influence them. A lot of fathers who are too busy, who their relationship with their children is left for the mother to build. The father's influence then is not as strong, and so I think it's important for us to understand that we need to be involved in our children's lives and to build a relationship and to nurture them, so that we can influence them, right? And it's important for us to be able to influence them because of the next few things that we're going to talk about. And child development, right, is very, very important. As we see from the previous slide there, that figure there, that father's influence and relationship affect, not only just the physiological development of the kids, it's also the mental, the emotional, the spiritual component of a child. So it's very important for us to keep that in mind, that in order for us to influence them, we need to have a relationship. In order to have a relationship, we need to invest time and love, right? So, a caring father. The third thing is that Joseph demonstrates that we should, is faith and courage. From verse 20 to 23, it says that as he considered this, he considered about leaving Mary. There's two things that I want you to consider that, it shows that his faith is strong, right? Joseph is grounded in the Word of God, and his faith is strong, that things that he didn't understand, right? Basically is the definition of faith. The things that he didn't understand, he still was obedient to the Word, and I think those are the two things, that his faith was strong, and the second thing is that he had courage to be obedient to the Word. He knew of the Word, he knew of the prophecy there, and yet and he was obedient and courageous to be obedient to God's Word. And I think those two things are important. As fathers there, we need to have faith, and we need to be obedient. We need to have the courage to be obedient to the Word of God, and we need to show it. I think that's really, really important to display to our kids. In Matthew 2, I don't have this up there, but in Matthew chapter 2, verse 13, he talks about an angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream. It says, "Get up, flee to Egypt with the child and his mother." The angel said, Stay there until I tell you to return, because Herod is going to search for the child to kill him." That night, Joseph left for Egypt with the child and Mary, his mother. They stayed there until Herod's death. This fulfilled what the Lord has spoken to the prophet. "I called my son out of Egypt." So, Joseph immediately responded. He was obedient to this immediately. he basically got up, closed shop, packed, and went. And that takes strong faith, and that took, strong courage for him to do that. To say yes to the Lord is to do it instantly, right? And as a father, is show the courage that he has, and to be the protector of his son, and then also to lead his family. So the next trait is that I want to point out about Joseph is he was a man of worship, right? In this story here, he in Luke 2 actually, in Luke 2 verse 41 to 42, it says we know that every year Jesus' parents went to Jerusalem for the Passover festival. When Jesus was 12 years old, they attended the festival as usual. So we know from Luke in this verse that Joseph led his family every year to Jerusalem for the annual Passover festival. He was a man of worship. We already know that he has strong faith and courage, but we also know that he was consistent in his worship. Right? He worshipped regularly. Every year they would make this journey there, and I think that I'm sure that Joseph was aware of Deuteronomy 6, where it talks about how that he needs to impart on the word of the Lord to our children and the generations. So this worship of going to the Passover every year is an act of worship there. And I think it's worthwhile for us to read Deuteronomy. And I don't think I have it on there, but if you could follow with me here, it's Deuteronomy 6. It's I'm sure you all know it. Deuteronomy 6, 2, 6 through 9. It says, so that you and your son and your grandson may fear the Lord, your God, to keep all of his statutes and his commandments, which I command you, all of the days of your life, and that of your days may be prolonged. These words which I am commanding you today shall be on your heart. You shall teach them diligently to your sons, and shall talk of them when you sit in your house, and when you talk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you get up, when you rise up. You shall bind them as a sign on your hand, and they shall be as frontals on your forehead, and you shall write them on the doors, posts of your house, and on your gates.
Amen.
So, amen. So I'm sure Joseph was aware of this of this teaching, and he's undoubtedly is faithful, and he is imparting on that, and we see that even more at the end of Luke in chapter 2 in verse 48, when it says that Joseph and Mary, as they are making their way back, they did not find little Jesus with them, so then they had to go all the way back, and when they went back there, they found Jesus in the temple there, and I think that's probably the last part where we heard of the story of Joseph. But it goes to speak to us that, as fathers, we need to carry that out. We need to carry out that Deuteronomy 6 there. But how do we do it? How do we carry out that legacy, right? The legacy of wanting our children and their children to follow in the Lord. And as the Lord commanded there, that, we need to impart with them the word all the time, right? It talks about when they are awake, when we are awake, when we go to bed, when we get up, when we are on the road, when we're out and about, in all the situations all the time, we need to speak to our children and speak to them about the word of the Lord. And because as fathers, that's an important legacy. That's probably the most important legacy that we want for our children, for them to continue to be a believer. And if we both do it as mom and dad, we find out that 75% of the time they will become believer. But it's also important for us to do this on a daily basis. And that 1 Thessalonians verse says that we are to exhort them. Exhort means to, that means you want to advise them. You want to give them great counsel. You want to advise them like wholeheartedly. You want to, pour out to them and to make sure that they understand that, the word of the Lord is the utmost important. So that's what we're talking about, exhorting them, encouraging them, right? And I think it's encouraging. There will be bumps and ups and downs, and a lot of times they may not want to do it. But as fathers, as parents, we want to encourage them. We want to help them to, be encouraged, not to give up hope, to continue to, seek the Lord, continue to be in the Word, to read, to come to church, to participate, to be part of the youth ministry. It's important for us to encourage them. The third thing is to implore. So implore means to it means for us to sort of like to also beg them to just continue to just, when they decided that they want to give up and they don't want to, our job is to implore them. Our job is to say, more than just encouraging, hey, go and do it. Our job is to explain to them why it is important. What is it that we need to help them to do it? So imploring implies that. And that's what I believe Deuteronomy is talking about there. And that's what Thessalonians is talking about there. And that's why Joseph there every year makes that long trek to Jerusalem for the festival there. He takes his family there. So he is doing all those things. He's exhorting, he's encouraging, he's imploring Jesus for the word. And I think it's important for us, and we can emulate that. We can see that that's something that we need to do for our children, and so that they remain in the word. So I just want to conclude here and wrap this up that it is important for us to look at this story here, that the story of Joseph there, the adopted father of Jesus there, and see some of the traits there that he's shown us, that a loving man. He could have walked away, and it was in his legal rights to do it, but he chose to love Mary, right? Love man. It's important for us to remember that the greatest gift that we can give to our children is to love our spouses. The second thing is, to be a caring father, right? We need to have a relationship with our children. We need to invest in time and love in them to have that relationship, because in that when you have a strong relationship with your children, that's where the influence will come. And to be able to influence our children in a godly manner, we need to have that relationship. And why do we need to influence them? And that is because we need to influence, as Deuteronomy 6 says, to influence them in the ways of the Lord, to teach them about the words. And so it ties in there. Faith and courage, right? We need to be grounded in the Word. We need so that our faith will continue to grow, and our courage will continue to allow us to lead our families and allow us to influence our children. And our worship, we need to we need to be able to do this overtly. And overtly is like we need to do it conspicuously so that our children see it. They see that we are reading the Word, that we are speaking of the Word, that we are worshiping, that we are praising the Lord. Right? When children see that and they see that repeatedly, and they see that you doing it, they see that you are practicing, that you are living it, that's where the teaching and the influence will be. They say that you can teach your kids all that you know, right? You can teach them everything that you know, but your children will turn out to be who you are, right? And that's very, very true. Right? I can teach my son all the facts, all the empirical data, all the knowledge there, but ultimately, he's going to be who I am. And if we are, as fathers, if we don't live a consistent life with those things there, our children is going to be the same way. Right? And you can teach your children everything that you know, but they ultimately will be who you are. So it's very important to keep that in mind. Right? Let me just conclude with this story that I just came across, and I thought it really speaks to that. That one Sunday morning, father, is drinking his coffee, reading his paper, and his son is playing with his Legos or video games or something, and the father says, to the son, hey, go and get ready and go to church. Go and get ready and go. And the son, asks, Dad, are you coming today? And the father says, no, I'm not coming today, son, but, you go and get ready and hurry up so don't be late, And then so the son goes, Dad, when you were a little boy, did you go to church? And the father says, of course I did. What do you mean? Of course I went to church, right? But hurry up and go get ready. So as the little boy walks away, Dad hears him mumble and says, yeah, and I bet it won't do me any good either. So it goes to show that you can teach your children all that you know, but ultimately the children will be who you are. So, on this Father's Day, I hope that this story of Joseph and his traits and the things that he did there will help us to be the father that we are called to be, that the Lord calls us to be, and the children that He has given us for us to lead, and for us to carry out what Deuteronomy 6 talks about, right? So let's pray. Let's pray. Lord, thank you so much for this afternoon, Lord. Thank you for allowing me to be here to share the word with my brothers and sisters. Lord, I pray for all my brothers who are fathers or who are fathers to be, Lord, that their relationship with you, Lord, first is strong and will continue to be strong, and that you will speak to them, Lord, that you will guide them, that you will just bless them, so that their relationship with their children could be to that how you would want us to be as fathers, Lord. I pray for all my fathers out there that they are healthy, Lord, that they will continue to just have the wisdom, the patience to lead their children and their families, Lord. I ask that you please bless them, provide for them, Lord, open doors for them, and just continue to speak to them. Continue to speak to them in their prayers, Lord. And continue to just lead them. Just lead them, to call them to be the father that you want them to be, Lord. And I pray that you will just just show them, Lord, just give them the resources that they can use to lead their children, Lord, to be the man for their spouses, to be the father for their children, Lord. Thank you so much for this time. Thank you for allowing me to be here, Lord. I pray for Beth-El Church, Lord. I pray that as they to carry on with the regathering, that I just pray for protection, for help, Lord, that the brothers and sisters will come, that they will see you, Lord, that they will just feel the Spirit here, that they will get healing, that they will continue to feed into faith, Lord, to overcome anxiety and fear. There's so much uncertainties right now, Lord. There's so much fear that's going around in the world, Lord. The fear of the virus, the fear of the social unrest, Lord, that when they come here and for the regathering, the services again, Lord, that you will speak to them, that you'll be with them, that you will just lavish them with peace and love, that you will strengthen their faith so that they can just continue to serve you, Lord, continue to walk in and worship you. That this house is just a house of worship, and that they can just leave their fear and anxiety at the door, Lord, and that they will seek healing. And thank you so much for this time. I pray for our church here, Lord. In your precious name I pray, Jesus. Amen. Praise the Lord.
Gloria a Dios.
Gloria a Dios.
Gloria a Dios.
Gloria.
Espero todos hayamos captado la enseñanza tan importante que nos ha presentado el doctor Fran. Yo creo que hay muchos factores que son fundamentales para hacer una buena labor como padres. Y las cosas que se mencionan acerca de José como personaje principal de esta enseñanza son cosas que todos tenemos que valorar. Yo le pague al doctor Fran y estamos muy agradecidos. La verdad es que no es fácil ser padre, y cerraba yo hace un momento el segundo servicio y diciendo que en la experiencia que todos hemos vivido encontramos que es fundamental el tener que poner el ejemplo, el vivir una vida que pueda impactar especialmente a nuestros hijos. Ellos están siempre pendientes de nuestras acciones más que de nuestras palabras. Nos oyen, pero más bien nos observan. Y sus ojitos siempre están presentes, ¿verdad? Mirando qué hacemos, cómo hacemos, los gestos que hacemos, cómo nos vestimos, a dónde vamos, qué comemos. Todo eso les impacta. Y si alguien tiene una actitud correcta, es una persona justa, una persona que adora, que ora, que vive para el Señor, estará impactando a sus hijos, no con las enseñanzas de su boca, precisamente nada más, sino con las enseñanzas de su ejemplo. Dios nos ayude. Tenemos una enorme tarea que cumplir, hermanos varones, hermanas. Ayúdennos, tolérennos, dennos, ¿verdad?, la oportunidad. Y bueno, sobre todo, permitan que podamos, ¿verdad?, tener el privilegio de poder criar juntos a nuestros hijos en el camino de Dios. Pónganse de pie todos, por favor. Cantamos una alabanza. Yo quiero esta tarde invitar a... Tenemos 8 espacios nada más, pero no somos muchos varones aquí, padres de familia. Quisiera invitarlos para que viniesen al frente y orar por ustedes, invocar la bendición de Dios a favor de sus vidas. En los años pasados hemos invitado a la familia a venir. También ahora las reglas no nos permiten precisamente hacer este tipo de cosas, pero sí queremos que vengan ustedes y queremos invocar la bendición de Dios, que ustedes tengan el gozo de sentir el poder, la gracia y la bendición del Señor, llamarla, invitarla a sus vidas para que podamos desempeñar un buen papel como padres de familia. En el nombre de Jesucristo, en el nombre de Jesucristo, glorificado sea el Señor tu nombre. Amén. Algo que forma parte de la adoración y es el depositar nuestra ofrenda, y si usted trajo diezmos para depositar ante el Señor a fin de que la bendición de Dios siga estando con usted, pues también lo voy a invitar para que en esta hora nuestros hermanos mujeres pasarán por nuestros lugares y van a recoger nuestra ofrenda, nuestros diezmos también. En el nombre de Jesucristo. Gracias, Cruz. Es un privilegio, en verdad, una bendición el poder participar. Alabado sea Cristo. Mientras que nuestros hermanos recogen las ofrendas y los diezmos, les queremos recordar que el miércoles próximo tenemos nuestro servicio a las 7:30. Es un culto de adoración. A partir del mes de julio, que es el mes entrante, habrá un cambio en el programa de la iglesia y los miércoles será tiempo de adoración, pero luego también tendremos estudio bíblico y de esa manera iremos avanzando estudios y vamos a tener una serie de temáticas. Pero también les quiero decir, hermanos, que a partir del día de mañana los líderes y los que formamos el grupo de comprometidos con los ministros y diáconos vamos a estar en ayuno, en oración también. Tenemos un rol de oración nosotros estamos encabezando esto. Durante la semana seremos nosotros los que vamos a iniciar. Así nos lo hemos propuesto, pero durante la semana vamos a estar comunicándonos con ustedes para invitarles a que nos acompañen en esto. ¿Para qué estamos ayunando y orando? Estos son tiempos, hermanos, en los que nosotros no podemos hacer otra cosa mejor que acercarnos al Señor. Son tiempos de dificultad, son tiempos en los que el enemigo trata precisamente de hacer desistir. Esto que estamos haciendo no es algo muy motivador precisamente para la mayoría de nosotros. Cantar con el cubreboca, orar de esa manera tan separada, tan aislada, dividiendo al grupo, que no somos muchos, pero bueno, no podemos estar juntos ahora por las leyes o las direcciones que se nos han dado, instrucciones de guardar una distancia social para protección de los demás y también de nosotros. Y todo esto que ahora se ha puesto, pues, ¿qué diré? Como algo, pues que ya nos estamos medio acostumbrando. Alguien dijo, aunque uno nunca se acostumbra a esto, hermanos, esto está, bueno, está causando problemas, pero aparte a ello, más aún, el asunto de un rebrote, porque supuestamente esto ya estaba siendo superado, pero se habla de un rebrote y se habla de un rebrote con virus, todavía un poquito, o sea, del mismo tipo, pero un poquito más peligrosos, más contagiosos, que causan mayores problemas. La Iglesia, sabemos que todas las cosas en el Señor son posibles resolverse. Él tiene el poder para protegernos, ciertamente, para sanarnos también, pero nosotros tenemos que hacer nuestra parte y tenemos que vivir debajo de la presencia del Señor, como dice el Salmo 91, habitar bajo el abrigo del Altísimo, habitar bajo las alas, protegernos bajo las alas del Señor, bajo su presencia. Y esto solamente es posible orando y ayunando. Tenemos 2 familias en la congregación que están recluidos en cuarentena, porque cuando menos alguno de los miembros salió por allí con un contagio, que también es otra cosa. Los kits que se están usando, para las pruebas de esto, algunas son tan caprichosas o no son tan exactas, y algunas veces dan positivo y otras veces dan negativo a las mismas personas. Pero bueno, eso ya es suficiente para tener que tener una alerta y hacer que las personas tengan que aislarse, por lo menos por 40 días, la familia entera, todos los que conviven. Y tenemos 2 familias en la iglesia, y tenemos que orar para que Dios los libere a ellos, pero también para que nos bendiga a nosotros, nos proteja, y que no vuelva a haber ningún caso más entre nosotros, sino que todos con toda libertad podamos estar siempre adorando al Señor, ocupados en los trabajos que son tan necesarios también para la manutención. Es cierto, el Señor prometió que iba a proveer de todo, pero para eso nos dio también el trabajo, ¿verdad? Para ganar el pan. Amados hermanos, los vamos a estar llamando y esperamos que ustedes estén preparados para darnos una respuesta y decirnos qué días van a ir ustedes ir escogiendo. La idea es que cada día del mes de julio, nosotros estamos empezando ya, ahora en junio, pero que cada día del mes de julio tengamos una familia ayunando y cada hora de cada día del mes tengamos cuando menos a alguien postrado ante el Señor en ruego, en oración, porque tenemos la idea de cubrir las 24 horas. Algunos hemos tomado 2 espacios de media hora durante cada día y así lo vamos a estar haciendo con la ayuda del Señor. Así es que vayan pensando ustedes para que se involucren. Es la única manera, hermanos, en que vamos a ser vencedores. La única manera en que vamos a caminar en victoria, en el nombre del Señor Jesús. Y deseo que la gracia de nuestro Señor Jesucristo sea con todos ustedes, hermanos. Que tengan feliz día del Padre, hermanos. Déjense consentir, que los lleven a comer, los que todavía no han comido, y los que ahora ya van a cenar, pues cenen. Y no coman mucho también para que no se nos enfermen. Dios los bendiga, estamos despedidos.